Uh, CB, I'm going to go to you first as a Chelsea fan. What do you make of this deal, brother?
I've seen a lot. I've got a bit of mixed reactions, but I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm open for this, man. I think 30 million pound is not a risk. He's 22 years old. In terms of, I know Chelsea, when we talk about striker discussions, because we've had a year of Mark Gu last year from Barcelona B, which wasn't a high profile name. We missed out on Oshiman. We went for Nico Jackson the year before, another non high profile name, potential esque striker. So it is a bit frustrating when you see the Liam Delap links. But then when you consider the fact £30 million, I do think we get, well, based on the reports, we do are looking at getting another striker in. If that is the case, 30 million, why not? There's is a low risk type of signing. And one thing I would say is someone who I'm very critical of the sporting directors and the signings that they do in terms of building on the squad. But this time last year, we were linked to John Duran, and a large part of the fan base was so critical on those links, saying we do not want a John Duran type of signing. We was all pushing for the Oshimen Gyökeres type signing, and ultimately we didn't go and we didn't get John Duran. You saw how he started the season before he moved to Saudi. So I think I'm in a position where I'm actually prepared to give the sporting directors the benefit of the doubt with this signing. It's 30 million, it's low risk. I think I look at the striker market now; it's not the greatest, and for 30 million, who can you get? Now, if we don't actually get a striker like a Oshimen or Gyökeres or Ekitike, sorry if I mispronounced that, then that's when the cause for concern comes in, because we're all aware that Liam Delap's not the striker that's going to get us 20 to 25 league goals. We all want to compete next season. I'm a Chelsea fan. Every year I want to win the league. We're back in the Champions League. We got heritage there. If I wouldn't write us off trying to win that Champions League. So looking at Liam Delap in isolation, I don't think he's the player to do that. However, for 30 million and we bring in someone else, I think that's a good bit of business. It's a low risk and we can flip him as well.
I couldn't agree with you more, mate. I really do. Matt, do you share the same sentiment as CB there? A good start to the window, low risk, but more's needed.
100%. I think it's a good start. I was reactionary, I think, a couple of days when I heard it, like saying, he's a bad player, this, that. But, I watched a couple of games with him, and he's a high press player. As people said before, he gets those scrappy goals, he gets that in touch. He gets a bit of Gallagher vibes when he's at the front. He's just always running, which I think we're missing in the Prem. I want some more strength. I want some more running, some old school striking. So it's a good 30 mil deal. I'm not too sure the wage structure on him. I heard 190k. I don't know if that's true, but I don't think it seems to be that much. So it's just a good little signing. I think Nicholas Jackson, he's shown this season that he's not the best ability. Mark Guhu, I watched him at Barcelona B. I watched him in the Chelsea. I actually like the player. I like the character of him. I want to see him develop at Chelsea. So I think it's a good little signing. I don't know if we're going to go for Oshiman or, the sporting fella. So we're going to see how we go. But it's a good little signing. Good start, starting early. I like it.
Absolutely. And felt a bit, Winter Surfer, it felt a little bit quiet on the Chelsea transfer front. Because, United were getting Cunha, Liverpool signed 2 or 3. But it just feels like you've got your season done and it's just full steam ahead now in the window.
Remember also we're in the Club World Cup, so we want to get one of these guys in before that as well. So, but I agree with CB. I'm all for the Delap deal. It just can't be the only striker deal. That's what I think all Chelsea fans are in agreement with. It can't be Delap. That's it, because that's not fair to him. And
so does Jackson go?
If we get another striker, I believe Jackson will go. Jackson will go if we get another striker. There's no point, because they want to keep Greek as the third choice. So I think it's a good signing. I've wanted him for a while. He's got 12 goals in a very poor Ipswich team. He's a box presence, which we Matt and CB know we lack box presence so much in our forwards. And you know what? That on a side note, I'm one for wanting to get a Gyökeres or an Oshiman because of the age difference between the two strikers. I'm not for getting like a same age sort of striker, because I just don't know if that works, because the development sometimes is just not there. But he's very good. I'm pleased for it. It's a good start. There's more links coming out. We're linked to Rodrigo again today, so I'm pleased with that as well. So we roll on, and I agree with CB, and like I said to you, Terry, last night, we're in the Champions League. I'm there to win it for a third time. I'm not there to compete.
Yeah, exactly. I want to touch on a point that you made about the Club World Cup. Liam Delap was reported to be going to the under-21 Euros. So in an instance that we do sign him, I don't know if that his plans change, but if things are what they've been reported about him going to the under-21 World Cup Euros, sorry, I do see us bringing in another striker before the Club World Cup. We're meant to be that begins in travel and all of that starts in 10 days. Well, so that explains why the business has been.
There's a special transfer window.
Yeah.
The first and the 10th. So before that tournament kicks in. So
it's good that we're doing our business early.
I didn't see that about the under 20 thing. So
another thing you said about Delap being a presence in the box, I think that's a lot of that's misconstrued in my opinion. Liam Delap hasn't scored a header in the league this season. I know a lot of the fan base we've been talking about. Yeah, we need a box presence or something that we're all in agreement for. But this is another thing where I say Delap shouldn't be the only option when we do go for a striker, because in terms of presence in the box, he doesn't really provide that option. He doesn't score any headers or areas of threat, at least. In terms of movement in the box, it definitely is an improvement on Jackson. 100%.
That's not what I'm talking about, CB, because we saw it a little bit with Mark Guéhi when he came on against, I think it was West Ham, and just his physical presence in the box, was causing centre backs to focus on him. I'm talking about that, where he will distract, make space for the wingers, make space for Palmer, stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? That's what we've been clearly lacking. Have I frozen?
No, that's just CB.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I'm talking more about that in terms of him being there and making space and stuff like that. You're right, but he's how old is he, guys?
He's 22.
22. All right, so that's still something to work on. But I'm all for it. Get the job done early. I was actually, Terry, I've got to admit to you, I think if you won the Europa League, I think he would have gone to you. I think he would have gone to you if you'd won the Europa League.
But potentially, I mean, look, he agreed the outline of his terms, but this is why I always say to people, agreeing personal terms doesn't guarantee the signing of a player. He obviously agreed to the salary that we would pay him and squad status, but he was just, there's Matt in the group chat saying, "Oh, United thought they had it wrapped up." No, we didn't. And no Man United fan thought it was absolutely wrapped up. We knew that he was waiting to see what happened with Chelsea. And listen, Nottingham Forest wanted him. Had Chelsea lost to Nottingham Forest at the weekend, then Nottingham Forest made Champions League, he might have gone there. He wants to play the Champions League.
Terry, that Everton offered him a better contract in terms of wages and stuff like that.
I think he wanted to play. I know a lot of people are who's a Championship striker because he got relegated. Who's he to demand Champions League football? I don't understand that logic. That's where he wants to play. And you're right. If Man United had won the Europa League and we were in the Champions League, he may have picked us. But he didn't. And he's a Chelsea player. And look, there's a lot of United fans that they're kind of showing their bum a bit right now because they're angry at Ineos for not getting him. But they're the same people that for 2 weeks have been saying, "I don't want him." It doesn't really add up, the anger. KJ, obviously you're a United fan. This is a player that we were in for. Chelsea have landed him. What's your reaction to this big break in Chelsea news?
I'm upset because we clearly wanted him, and I believe that we maybe didn't think we had it all wrapped up, as in like he's 100% coming. But I do believe the club were confident that he would pick us even without Champions League football. I think they probably thought, we've did a good proposal. You know what I mean? Like we haven't briefed any outlets that we're looking at other strikers like that. Unlike Chelsea have still saying they're going to sign 2 strikers. So they probably thought, we probably could get this done. And we've come undone due to our own failings of getting Champions League via the Europa League. So yeah, I'm upset with that. The only thing I'd question Delap with is like during the build up to this, it was a lot of reports where he wanted Champions League football, fair enough. But he also said he wanted game time to try and get into the England squad. And if Chelsea do sign a Gyökeres or an Osimhen or a Ekitike or Sesko, I'll just question how much game time will he actually get. Maybe he'll get enough because of the competition that they're in. I'm not saying it's a completely bad thing. I'm just wondering about that. But overall, fair play to Chelsea. They did what they needed to do. They succeeded in the league. They succeeded in the Conference League. They made themselves very attractive to multiple players. And I don't know where Man United go from here. We've not really been briefed on any of the backup targets. We've had murmurings of like maybe Mateta. Obviously, we were linked to Gyökeres for quite a bit. Obviously, there was today that we might be talking to Osimhen and Napoli, and I don't know what's real, what's not. It's just all I know is for facts that we're not getting Delap, and I don't know where we go from here. We'll have to wait and see. Do we even sign a striker?
Well,
As Man United fans, can I ask you guys a question in terms of where your project is? This like more of an eye opener because I know Terry said a lot of fans are showing their bum. They didn't really want him, but they've missed out on him. Obviously, to if I do say so myself, a better project, a better sporting institution. I think it's safe to say. So when you see that, do you feel like it's more so an eye opener of the state that Man United actually are now, where you can't attract the better players? There's no Euro.
Yeah. Look, it's. Every member, maybe barring Tottenham, of the traditional top six, as we would refer to them on this platform, are a better option than us right now on paper and in reality. Historically, there's only one team in England that's on par with us as an institution, but these players are not just going to pick Man United because of what Fergie's team were doing and what Sir Matt Busby was doing. We have to be honest about that. It is about the here and now. I'm very aware, CB, of where we are and how long it's going to take to fix us. And this is why when people go, look at you, this is the reaction you'll get. Look at Chelsea are doing compared to us. Yeah, but look where Chelsea are going into their 4th year of their club rebuild. We're going into year 2. So, of course, it's harder for us to compete against teams that have been either at the top for the last 4, 5, 6 years or teams that have been growing towards something earlier than us. It is an eye-opener for a lot of people. That's probably why they're going to be in denial. They're going to be angry. They're going to be frustrated. I'm annoyed we didn't get him. I'm just hoping that this is where we'll see what Ineos's plans look like, because you can't not have a backup option. If the reports coming out of Italy today are true, that we're trying to work on a kind of cash plus player deal for Osimhen, and if we end up getting rid of Højlund, then we end up getting Victor Osimhen in, then I'm not going to be that bothered in the short term anyway. It always depends how they deliver. But on paper, I won't be bothered about not getting Delap because I think we've signed another very good striker. So as long as we get a number 9 who is capable of scoring goals and helping us improve, then I'll stay relatively relaxed. I'm annoyed we haven't got Delap. I think there's a really top level player in there who is not far away from I don't think he's much more coaching and development away from being potentially one of the best strikers in the Premier League. Yes, there's a rawness. Yes, there's a lot of it. There's areas for him to improve, but I love watching him play this year. And most games I saw him in, I felt you put him in a team like Chelsea that creates chance. I think you're the 3rd highest creators in the league this year. I think someone like him could absolutely lap that up. I think they can lap it up.
I would also say I think this is out of all the transfers we're going to do this summer, this is by far the easiest one to do. In terms of it's a release clause, so it's just convincing the player, and we've all seen the connections with Joe Shields and Maresca himself and stuff like that. And like I said, I think you not winning Europa League obviously helped us as well. But Newcastle was still in there as a Champions League option as well for him to go to. But with Isak there, and I just think we'll get this done. But like I said, we need to make sure it's not the only one to come through the door this summer, because it will limit what I think we can achieve next season, especially in the league. So
yeah, I got to drop down. Yeah, love for having me. Big up everyone. Chelsea are gonna do the title charge, up the Chelsea every single time, make Chelsea great again. Love people.
Cheers, CB. Top man. Thank you, bro.